In today's video, I have a very decent concept. We're talking about Nitro Fighter, which is a Nitro concept. It's not actually implemented into anything. I might be teasing that I will make this into an actual coded game or exe file that you could go ahead and run, and it would be interesting. You could choose your fighter, you could choose which one of these characters you want to play as, you could choose your attacks, your layouts, you could level up and do all of these amazing things. But for now, this is a concept that I want to bring to you guys. First off, let me just explain how this would work. There's a whole bunch of characters on this fighting game. It's going to be a fighting, obviously, like Smash Bros mixed in with a little bit of Pokemon with leveling systems and moves and attacks that you could do, and healing attacks or healing moves that you could do, pretty much based off of just two games, which is Pokemon and Smash Bros. This also has to do with Nitro Type related figures and things that you could see. I'm going to be just running over some of the character designs really quickly, and then we're going to get into the real nitty-gritty of stuff. But for the most part, these character designs are really produced with pixel art, and so the overall figure of these might vary slightly. This first one for Vader Cat is just a pixel art version. I think it does a really good job at capturing this. It makes him a little more buff. Obviously, standing on twos for a fighting game, it's going to be pretty unique if you don't. But there is going to be one character that is a flyer and doesn't really stand on twos. The main characteristics of this character would be swooping under, and for a laser attack with a lightsaber. So obviously, Vader Cat is introduced by Star Wars, so a lightsaber thingy would be swooping under and attacking, which could possibly be seen in these next couple of things. You're going to see another example of what this might look like for another character. However, right now, let's go ahead and get to the next one, which is the Yeti. Now, this Yeti is very interesting. It is pretty big. This is the Yeti design you come up with. Obviously, it captures all of the essence. Obviously, besides these intricate lines and stripes that you see right there, you still see a stripe right there, but you don't see any of those harsh lines right there, or any of the too detailed nails and fur and paws. But it is pretty interesting. It looks like a bigger character. Obviously, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of agility, all of that, special abilities, and all that later. But let me just showcase this next one, the Wampus, obviously. This is going to be his attack. He has a handheld nunchucks, which glow purple when hitting somebody. So his attack isn't really purple. His main idle stance would be gold, and sort of like this is him with his healing animation, which is eating waffles. Obviously, you could look at the Wampus waffle wagon and understand why that's a thing, but he can eat these waffles and it'll regenerate some HP. We'll go into that later. Let's go ahead and look at this. This is the Thwampus. It's the evil twin. Obviously, darker, still has the chains, the goldenness, and the purple attack whenever they use their nunchucks. And this has actually a special effect, which is pseudo invisibility, or invisibility in general, whenever you can click Y on your keyboard for your special ability, which for this one would be while you're playing would activate invisibility for approximately 15 seconds, or I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and check that out later. But yes, this is an invisibility perk. In this fighting game, we have this one, which is sort of like the lightsaber, which Vader will be using to duck under. I don't have any mock-ups of what that would look like yet, but we do have this mock-up to give you a visual representation of what a saber would look like on Flag Girl. This is obviously the Flag Girl from Nitro Type. Next up, we have the hammer wheels. This one I really think came out good. It's supposed to be like a Muay Thai boxer type of build on this hammer wheels type of guy. Gave him arms and legs, of course. We gave him some clothing articles. You can see he's pretty ripped, pretty muscular. He will most likely be doing kicks and stuff, like as you might see him do later. You can see he has another attack, which is this one, which is the water repulsion, which he does out of his mouth as like a water pulse. Obviously, hammerhead, shark, water, it's all mixed, intertwined into one. Next up, we have Myth, the dragon. Now, you could see Myth has some interesting features. You could see we retain those golden orangish eyes, and a lot of the purple design, and the horns too, and the spikes and the fur. It's all represented here, and you could see he flies upright-ish. He's not as big as you would think of a dragon is, so it's sort of like maybe the other characters are scaled larger, or this character is scaled smaller, because as you're going to see here in a second, it is pretty scalable. This Yeti is actually slightly bigger than the dragon horizontally. I feel like this dragon would be easier. This dragon took it. Obviously, as a dragon, it's going to be one of the higher HP models, but we'll see right here what it would look like altogether. You can see this eagle, which I forgot to gloss over. But this eagle versus a Yeti. You have the dragon versus Colin Furs, which again, I forgot to go over. These two are the new characters. Obviously, Colin Furs has a hover bike ability, where he could hop on his hover bike and deal times 1.5 damage. Obviously, you could see these Wampus and the Wampus dueling it out over here. Both of their nunchucks clacking together, making a purple moment right there. This one, Flag Girl, is using the lightsaber to stab the Hammer Wheels shark. And let's go ahead and get into the stats now. I believe it's this one we start off with. Flag Girl, we could look at their core strengths, fast dash and airspeed. Just obviously lightweight, KO'd at 85%, which is a weakness that they have, and shortest raw reach. Obviously, you could see their reach wasn't really that far, as they didn't really extend all the way out, and from their idle animation, that's only half of a character out. Myth the Dragon has a tall hurtbox and frame. Obviously has a frame slow, normals if flight is baited, and you can see this. It's a dual element, 5-way fireball and close-up claw combo. It has obviously the flight cancel and extends the pressure. The playstyle / snapshot of this one is obviously just a zoning / whiff punish hybrid, control space and angled flames, bait jump ins, flight cancel punish, S tier once mastered. You can see these tiers right here as well. This Hammer Wheels obviously has the longest reach. You could easily tell. It has anti-zoning, and it has a water beam projectile, which you could see. It has a mediocre jump, and it has the stubby hitboxes on head, big on the limbs, because he's a tall, lanky, sort of Muay Thai build. He's normally like, the playstyle you would play is a mid-range type of play. Not really longer range, because he is a little bit lanky, so you could play long range with him, but the ideal is really mid-range because of the mediocre jump arc. The Chompus is a B tier, which is pretty much just trash. It has slow walk dash, it struggles versus multi-projectiles, and it really just isn't the best. Its strength is that it can grabs chains into wall bounces, and obviously the Yeti is one of the worst ones. It has snow sweater armor, 2 hits super armor every 15 seconds. It has the largest hitbox. It has really slow. It's a heavy brawler. Mostly relies on its HP, and obviously the next one, Myth the Dragon, the Eagle Eye, and the Vader the Cat, and then what else is new? This Cool Claws one isn't added. It was disbanded, but because we already had a Christmas one, which was the Yeti. Colin Furs, his highlight is his drill setups and his weak normals. Obviously, he lands as like a matchup fishing pick, or just like a last minute pick normally, or really just the default character as Colin Furs. You have the beats here, which isn't really that bad. Allegedly, this AI puts Yeti below the Colin Furs, which I don't believe is true. You could look at the Yeti. It's really just an armor take with a slow hurt box, slower agility. But if that's the style that you want to play, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. I feel like it's mostly balanced. You could look at the Vader the Cat, which I showed you at the beginning. It has a red saber, and obviously has it outranges Flag Girl, but it really struggles with high zoning arcs, which is Myth's Flames. And Vader Cat is good against the Yeti for sure. Vader Cat versus the Yeti, no doubt Vader Cat would be winning. And obviously the Wampus is the steal the ceiling pick. It has the laser, it has the wave shine, it has the waffle heals. The waffle heals really do help out. It's obviously one of the best picks you could have. Just the waffle heals are OP. That's its special attack on top of all of the decent range it has with the decent nunchucks. It doesn't really have that long of range, but it has some decent fighting, you could obviously see. And from this Flag Girl, you could obviously see, I wouldn't put Flag Girl above that high. but it is a simple but lethal rush down if you want to rush them. It's not really good for longer range against stuff like that. Myth the Dragon is really the best if you want to talk about range, if you want to talk about control of the space, if you want to talk about center control, if you want to talk about attacks, if you want to talk about looks. Myth the Dragon is really probably going to be my pick. I really like the design of Myth the Dragon. It's the most unique. Most of them are standing on twos. Myth the Dragon is flying in the air. It's just really no competition. You could see all of these, but the Wampus, just to go into these two a bit more, the Colin Furs has a jet bicycle drift, which it's fast, and the hover bike uppercut, which has a huge vertical boost but no hitbox until it hits it, and the screw shooter is a drill trap. The super is pretty much a flamethrower and full screen for 90 frames, but not really. It's mainly just like a gimmick. Colin Furs isn't really a good one that you would want to play over Myth or over Wampus. You could easily see Wampus's waffle break, which is crouch, which is also like holding C. You can block. It shrinks the hitbox 15%. Well, that's for all of them. Holding C is a block button. It shrinks your hitbox by 15% and reflects chip damage. That's for all of them, not just exclusive to the Wampus, which I think is why it placed so high. I don't think that it understands, but the attack is really unchallenged. You could see the Wampus, the way it eats the waffle. It's just OP. It has all that entire stuff going on. You could see this isn't a Vader cat, and you could tell that because the Vader cat has green eyes. So that might trip out a couple of people, but this is just I had an odd number of people unless I re-added Cool Claws, which I wasn't going to do. I don't think I would include Cool Claws because we already have our Christmas, we already have our Halloween with the Wampus and the Thwampus, we already have Vader Cat, we already have the Mystical March, which is obviously the dragon, and we have the summertime, which is the hammer wheels, and we obviously have the eagle, which is also some sort of summertime. We have two humans, the Colin Furs and the Flag Girl. I feel like both of them go hand in hand with all year rounds. However, the Flag Girl is definitely way better. It has the smaller hitbox, all that type of stuff. The way that this fighting is set up, I feel like is not going to happen in a real game. It would probably only be 4 players. It wouldn't. This is just a visual representation of what it would look like for 8 players. But I would say maybe there's going to be a couple myths. Obviously, there'd be people fighting on multiple of the same character if all of them are really, it's not imbalanced, but it's just slightly better to play. There's really only 2 options here, Flag Girl or the Dragon, and I feel like the Dragon is the best one. You could easily make an argument for the Hammer Wheels, but I don't feel like you want to make an argument for the Hammer Wheels just because of the disadvantages it has with HP. Obviously, all of these people, let's go over their agility. This dragon has really good agility. Humans have average agility. Obviously, these Thwampuses and the Yeti have slower agility, with Yeti being the slowest agility in the game. Again, the Eagle has slightly higher agility. Again, it's an eagle flying around. Obviously, that's going to be pretty high agility. And the Hammer Wheels has close to standard, but slightly better than standard agility. Not really enough to make like a huge buff, but not really. Obviously, you could tell he has decent agility just from his build and his stamp that he has. When we go over and look at like strength, you could easily tell that Yeti is the strongest and Eagle takes a second, and then obviously Myth takes a third. It's a well-rounded character. I feel like Myth might even take a second over the Eagle. I think actually I'd give Myth a second in terms of raw strength power. And then obviously after that would follow up, it would be the Wampus, and then the Hammer Wheels, and then the Thwampus, and then the Flag Girl, and then obviously Colin Furs in last place. So you could obviously check out their attacks. There's a lot of purple and blue going on, which I feel like symbolizes that sort of mythical march that we see. This is a mythical creation that we have here. I feel like the racetrack really symbolizes a lot for this island that we're looking at. You could obviously look at the Yeti. Let's just look at the Yeti. My personal ranking, not AI's ranking. I'm going to go ahead and rank all of these, obviously F through S plus tier. So let's start off going left to right. So we're going to look at this dragon first. Dragon is definitely a decent S plus. I'd give, really look at its agility, look at its power, look at its strength, look at all of the moves it has, look at the abilities it has. It just scores over everybody every single time. Not everybody could outwit the dragon though, because there are some players that play good against the dragon, but overall rounded they aren't as good as the dragon. But obviously if you get an effective character against it, the Yeti is gonna be C tier for me. It's really slow. It doesn't really have any great agility, great skill points. The strength might up it, but then again, what's strength if you can't catch the other players, especially if you're playing on hammer wheels or the dragon against the Yeti? You're going to win every single time. Just the agility outmatched with the pace. Just cooked every single time. This eagle, no, Colin Furs is next. I'm going to place Colin Furs and also a C tier. I don't feel like Colin Furs would be that decent. Again, you got to realize he's doesn't have any special powers. He has hover bike. He has the hover bike and he has the jet bike. But those really only come into play every single time you use an action move. But for your basic attack, it's not really as good as some of the other ones. Eagle, I'm gonna give Eagle a B plus or an A minus. I'm gonna go A minus tier. The Eagle, why it's so decent is because it has raw strength and it also has really good agility. However, its range is very closed off because even though it can fly, it's more not wing bound. It's more, as you can see through the picture, it's more melee based, just fists only, as well as the Yeti. Those two are like melee, but that's where it really falls down. The Flag Girl, I'm gonna give it an A plus. I think the Flag Girl is a really decent character, maybe even an S minus. I think I'm gonna go S minus. And so is the Hammer Wheels. They're both gonna get, actually Hammer Wheels gets a S minus, Flag Girl gets a A plus. You can see Wampus getting an S plus, and then Thwampus, obviously I'm gonna give the Thwampus a B minus. I just feel like all of these characters and score from best to worst is obviously I have to go with Dragon, Hammer Wheels, Dragon, Wampus, Hammer Wheels, Flag Girl, Eagle, Colin Furs, Thwampus, Yeti. That's an order from best to worst. You could go ahead and debate me on that, and then Vader Cat is going to be somewhere as a wild card. I'm not really sure how Vader Cat's ability with the lightsaber is going to come over with the maximum agility that it has. It just wouldn't have a lot of strength. Obviously, being a cat compared to a dragon is pretty insane, but you know what? The dragon is there for the fun sake of it. And the dragon would also be harder to unlock whenever you go into the nitty-gritty of everything. The unlockability of these characters would probably be about levels decently. So as you progress, you get more levels. Starting off, you have to play as Colin Furs, or starting off, you have to play as the Yeti, and you have to slowly work your way up to the best in the game, which would be the dragon, which would be the maximum prestige level. However, a couple of these would be out of place. I feel like Flag Girl would be a decent level 2 car, a level 2 fighter, and decently after that would be the Eagle level 3, Colin Furs level 4, and Colin Furs would be a limited time character. You wouldn't be able to play as Colin Furs after the first summer event closes down, and you could see easily with the Wampus and Thwampus and the way that they're just sort of like there. I don't feel like they would be too interesting of characters in this game. It would be interesting to see where they would place in the rankings of the leveling system. I'm feeling like the Wampus would be the second last level, so which would be a 7, and then level 8 for the dragon. Level 6 would be the Hammer Wheels. Level 5 would be the Thwampus. Level 4 would be the Eagle. Level 3 would be Vader Cat, and level 2 would be Flag Girl, and then that would be how you unlock all of them. And obviously Colin Furs is a limited time, so that'd be 9 characters in total. One of them is included in this statue over here. The rest of them are over here. Obviously Cool Claws might be an exclusive X-Max later on, but I just didn't think of any animations for him. I couldn't think of anything that would separate him from the Yeti. They're both bigger people who would be tanks, who would be winter themed, and I feel like the Yeti just overall makes a better point of that. You could see on this racetrack, on this theme of the island, it's a really good island to play, especially from this angle. Obviously, just for reference, this is the background. I'm going to go ahead and outline. This is the island that you're actually going to be able to fight on. And then, obviously, everybody just spawns like this in a line. Mostly probably going to be 4 players, which is going to be a all battle free-for-all with 4 players, or it's going to be a 2v2. It would be interesting to see this unfold, and if you want to make this a reality, then leave a like and subscribe on the video. Just really yapping about these characters has been an interesting video. I don't think I have much more to say.